Are you afraid of the fog that we played the year before? Still, everybody wants to learn more. Giant wanna shuriken until we score a couple of prizes. Screw the opponent, don't care what their size is. We snipe them to death even though they despise us. Wow, we got some new tricks up our sleeve. With miraculous shine, we make them leave all the opponents with too much HP. When are they finally able to see that Greninja is back on top? One energy to make them drop all their abilities for one turn. Yup, no more secret strain. Geodex is some more wonder tagging. An army of frogs is what I bring. Since the forest is now gone, we are able to overcome a bit of our weakness. The game is on. Moonlight slash to the break of dawn. Boom. Yeah, that's right. Episode 136. Greninja update. Burning shadows. Let's go. What's up YouTube, it's Decklist here and welcome to episode 136, where we'll be revisiting the Greninja Break deck. By popular demand, is back. There was a rotation that took place on the 1st of September that changed the format quite a bit. We lost a lot of cards and they were actually really good in favor of Greninja Break. So what did we lose? Just to get it out there, things like Trainer's Mail and Shaman EX got rotated out, which means the format has been slowed down. As you might have noticed, things like Bridget are now popular because they can get basic Pokemon straightly from your deck onto the bench. So the format has slowed down. People are still using Stage 2 decks, so this is no different. Greninja Break is actually a Stage 3 deck, but it is not hard to get out, which I'll explain in a minute. I'm also gonna give you a deck list in this video, gonna talk about the weaknesses it has and the great power it can provide at a tournament. Okay. What else got rotated out? The only bad thing is that Dive Ball is gone, which means we have some replacements which I'm gonna feature in this video. So if you don't know how to build your Greninja Break deck after the rotation, follow me. So other things that got rotated out that were really great, so just gonna show this, so you know what got rotated out. So the format has slowed down. We have to replace our Dive Balls, and things also got rotated here. Hex Maniac. Hex Maniac is a huge one which shuts down abilities for one turn if the opponent decides to play it, and that way we could not play our Giant Water Shurikens, the ability of Greninja Break, which I'm gonna feature later on in the video. So the ability, that way it cannot get shut down. The only thing that can shut down this ability is a Garbodor with a Float Stone, but that is easy to overcome with Field Blower, so that is no problem, and a Wobbuffet, but that has to be in the active position for the opponent. So yeah, no big deal there. So Hex Maniac got rotated out, really great for Greninja Break. Another thing that got rotated out is Vespiquen, which is also a really popular deck. It was really popular in Standard, but now since it got rotated out, the Be Revenge is something you don't have to worry about no longer. It's great that it's gone. So Greninja Break. Also, more grass is getting rotated out here. Forest of Giant Plants is now rotated out of the Standard format and is now illegal, believe it or not, in the expanded format. So no more Forest of Giant Plants. You might as well throw them away. And yeah. The Forest of Giant Plants made Decidueye a really playable deck. Without the Forest of Giant Plants, Decidueye fizzled down a lot, so that way the weakness it has to grass, like Vespiquen and Decidueye, both popular decks that won a lot of tournaments, is now gone. So the weakness to grass is no longer that much of an issue, although there are still two major Pokemon out there that can still cause you some problems, which is Tapu Bulu and Golisopod, but yeah, you cannot always overcome all your weaknesses unless you play Weakness Policy, but you know that sucks because Field Blower is around. So now that we know that there's a lot of good things coming our way post-rotation, we are gonna look at Greninja Break. Greninja Break evolves from the little cute Froakie. If you watched the World Championships on the 2017 here, we saw that Froakie did a lot of things with his bubble. Flip a coin of heads, the opponent's Pokemon is paralyzed. This little Froakie, however, evolves into the MVP of the deck, which is Frogadier. Frogadier here is an awesome Pokemon that has the attack Water Duplicates. If we attach energy to it, a water energy, it can be a regular one or a splash energy, which I'm gonna revisit later in the video, you can use the attack Water Duplicates. What does Water Duplicates do? Well, it searches your deck for up to 3 Frogadiers and put them directly on the bench. It goes like this, which is awesome. You don't even need the little Froakies, they're great though, because sometimes you bench a little Froakie, one of your Frogadiers get knocked out, and you can use Rescue Stretcher to get it back. That's how it works. So once you get your army of frogs out, just like you heard in the intro rap, what else do you do? Well, you evolve all those awesome frogs into Greninjas. This will not go as quickly as possible. This might take a few turns, but as you know, Greninja is an attacker that has free retreat. You can swap between them, and it only needs 1 energy to deal a huge amount of damage. So that's why it's no problem losing one of your frogs, since there's a Rescue Stretcher, Super Rod, and other recovery methods. So how do we get these frogs into play? We have cards like
Evo Soda that can help us out. Searches your deck for a Pokemon that evolves from one of your Pokemon, and boom, it's out of your deck like that. You can also, but you have to have benched or played that Pokemon down previous turn, so use that. The better option, however, is Wally. Wally can be great in your first turn, because that way we can search your deck immediately, even though we have just placed it. So let's say we start with Froakie, it's our first turn, we use Wally, we can evolve into Frogadier and get things going like this. Another evolution card I like to mention is Timer Ball. If you have a bit of luck on your side, you're good with coin flips, try Timer Ball, it'll be your best friend. You can get 2 evolutions maximum out of that card, and it's just an item card, which is awesome. So and we lost Dive Ball, but those are some great options I have to mention here. So once we get our breaks out, things get more crazier than ever, because the break can actually has an ability. If you discard a water energy from your hand and you put it in the discard, you can snipe 60 damage anywhere on the opponent's side of the field. Really powerful. And also, if you're curious here, you can also run Splash Energy. Let's say we have Splash Energy and our Greninja Break is knocked out. You can put all the Pokemon back into your hand. Only the energy gets discarded once you get a knockout with Splash Energy attached. Be careful though, because Splash Energy as a special energy gets discarded by a lot of things, just like Drompa with his first attack, Wretch's Edge. We also have Enhanced Hammer. There's the Kartana GX coming with the ability that is basically an Enhanced Hammer, so be careful when playing Splash Energy. I'm also going to give you my personal deck list after the rotation here, so that way you know how I build my personal Greninja Break list. So talking more about Greninja, so you know what Giant Water Shuriken does. That way you can get 60 damage with the ability only, and that's stacked. So if you retreat manually, you can still use another Water Shuriken with this Greninja, for example. So it's great like that. What does the regular Greninja do? Well, glad you asked. This regular Greninja has Shadow Stitching, which deals 40 damage, which might not seem that impressive, but with a choice band it can easily add up to 70 damage, which is great with the numbers here, because next turn we can also deal 110 damage maximum with that Moonlight Slash and get it up to 180, the perfect number. But Moonlight, actually the Shadow Stitching has an alternate effect on the attack. That way the opponent cannot play any abilities or use any abilities on their next turn. So basically it is a Hex Maniac and an attack, which is awesome because Hex Maniac is now rotated out. This can get a lot of decks stuck. Let's just say we have our Greninja in the active position, swap it up a bit, here we go, and we decide to use Shadow Stitching. Shadow Stitching only deals 40 damage. Well, yeah, there's nothing you can do about the damage output unless you're running Choice Band or you decide to even up the damage with cards like Professor Kukui. Let me just get it out there. Professor Kagui can also draw 2 cards, and in favor you also deal 20 extra damage. Okay, so what does Shadow Stitching help for? Well, it blocks all abilities. Think about a difficult matchup, because you know the weakness it has is Tapu Bulu and Golisopod. Golisopod is most definitely the hardest matchup in my opinion, since it only needs 1 energy to deal a bazillion damage and one-shot everything, but it's still doable if you play the correct cards, which I'm gonna talk about later. So let's just get rid of Golisopod. This is Tapu Bulu here. Tapu Bulu's best friend is Vikavolt, of course, and if we know that Vikavolt needs the strong charge ability, well, if you Shadow Stitching at the correct time, they cannot attach energies and they will be stuck with only dealing 30 damage with that Tapu Bulu, which is totally awesome. So just to get it out there, that one gets blocked. We also have Marshadow, new card from Burning Shadows, also gets blocked with the ability if they decide to run a Marshadow toolbox or anything like that. If Marshadow becomes huge, you can block that easily. Things like Octillery are also great to block. Octillery makes it so the opponent can draw cards until they have 5 in the hand every single turn, which is most terrible. I know. If you play correctly though, you can just get them out there, use an N, poof, they only get 2 cards or something like that. Use Shadow Stitching and that Octillery will be doing nothing and they will be stuck, and you can regain games like that. Other abilities that might be annoying is the Salazzle. I know this one can poison and burn your opponent, your Pokemon, and that way Darkrai GX can one-shot you, or other shenanigans might appear. Other things is Gardevoir GX's Secret Spring. I know, this is not Gardevoir, I know, but I don't have a Gardevoir GX, they're too pricey and I don't like to invest in the most popular deck ever. I play a little bit of Greninja, you know, and this Gardevoir GX has an ability, Secret Spring, you also block that. Things like Volcanion, not that we need it. Volcanion has an ability, Steam Up, you can block that with Shadow Stitching, which can shut down a lot of decks actually. Tapu Koko, another one of those great ones, has an ability, Arrow Trail, putting it in the active position. Well, no way guy, you cannot use that. Geotech System, another one of my favorites, played Metagross for a while. The Geotech System gets shut down, and the best matchup it has is Metagross, because if you use that time after time, Metagross is just too slow and cannot keep up, which is totally awesome. Another great thing I like to do is use Shadow Stitching when I see lone Eevees. That way they can never evolve unless you manually evolve, but yeah, what's the chance on that happening? Then again, if we see that Eevee on the bench somewhere and your opponent has a huge basic, Shadow Stitching is great that way. Also the Tapu Lele gets blocked, which is the biggest thing it can do is block Tapu Lele. So all this gets blocked with Shadow Stitching. So definitely an attack that will see multiple uses and a lot of tournaments. So talking about Greninja more, we have Moonlight Slash dealing 80 damage, actually it deals 60 damage, and if you decide to put a water energy back into your hand like this, you put it back in the hand, then you can deal 80 damage. So the choice is up to you. It has a nice synergy with the giant water shuriken, so at least we have that going for us, and it also helps out because Gardevoir GX deals more damage depending on how many energies we have. Look at Greninja. It does have 0 energies, which means Gardevoir will be needing a ton of energies to one-shot our Greninja Breaks like this. And now to the best part of the video, what else can we run in a deck like this? Okay, here we go. I'm gonna throw it out there. In my personal list, I'm running Espeon. You might think, wow, Espeon, when you start with it, it's terrible and stuff. Well, we have things like Escape Rope, we have Guzma, we have a regular water energy, for God's sake. We can just retreat Espeon if we happen to start with it. Another great thing I like to do is if our Espeon gets damaged, took a little hit, we use Acerola, it's back in the hand, no, nothing happens, so it's great. These are the cards you can use to get your Espeon back. But what does Espeon do? Retreating. Let's say we sniped a lot of damage around. Greninja Break sniped 60 damage, another Greninja Break sniped 60 damage, then we use Escape Rope or something, and then we start to attack with Miraculous Shine. How many basic Pokemon are there with 60 HP? Yeah, correct, almost anything. Let's say we have Alolan Vulpix, we have Ralst, we have Beldum, we have a lot of things with 60 HP. I know there are some difficult ones like, let's say, yeah, Trubbish has 70 HP, I know that's not good. Also Wimpod has 70 HP, we don't quite get there. But sometimes when you get the correct damage output on the field, you can just devolve Pokemon and win automatically. And then, yeah, after you just splash an end down, that way your opponent is stuck with evolutions in their hand, all their basics died. It's really great against things that with a lot of HP. Let's say Gardevoir GX, even though that matchup is quite good because we don't have any energies on our Pokemon. But you can just devolve Pokemon in awkward situations. That's why I run one copy of Espeon EX in the deck. Also running one copy of Tapu Lele in the deck. People say to me like, why are you running so many decks? Well, it's just great. If we start with Tapu Lele, we can get out anything that we possibly want. Want to get out of the active position? We have Guzma. Want to use something else, get the extra 20 damage? We have Kukui. Want to evolve on the first turn with Wally? No problem. Tapu Lele, Wally, bang, it's out there. So Tapu Lele makes it so we can use the correct supporter at the correct time. So that's why these two are in here. So you might say, well, you run 4 Froakies and 2 of those. Yeah, you have 25% of starting with these in your opening hand. Well, that's something where we don't have the opportunity here. We also run other Pokemon, which are 4 Talonflame. Talonflame is just totally awesome. It has the ability Gale Wing. If we start with it in our opening hand, we can just place it down as a basic Pokemon at our active position, which is totally, yeah, you could guess it already, it's awesome. Yeah, you can use Arrow Blitz here. It also has free retreat. That makes it so we can use the Frogadier's attack, Water Duplicates on our second turn. And Arrow Blitz makes it so we have consistency. It deals 40 damage. With a choice band, you can add it up to 70 damage. And that way, we are dealing a ton of damage. And then you can also get 2 cards from your deck, straightly from your deck. You don't even have to show your opponent and put them in your hand. Really great to evolve all your little frogs here into the giant breaks. And that's how it goes from there on out. If you start with Talonflame, you already have a great match going. If it dies, if you start with it, it's great. If you don't start with it, you can just throw it away with Ultra Ball, since we do run 4 Ultra Ball. I'm not gonna talk about these cards. These are just standard. We're gonna run 4 Sycamore, we're gonna run 4 N, we're gonna run 4, 4 of these. There's a lot of things you already know here. And Ultra Ball, Sycamore, and yeah, I don't even have to mention these, since you'll see the deck list in a minute. We're also running Fisherman. I'm actually running 2 copies in my list because sometimes you discard a lot of energies with the giant water shurikens and you run out of energies. And if we have Tapu Lele, Fisherman, boom, we can get all the energies that we want. Actually, we can get 4 basic energies from the discard into our hand, and then we get the ball rolling. Also great if you're Ant and you draw an Ultra Ball and 2 cards, you can Tapu Lele for the Fisherman, or just draw Fisherman entirely, which is awesome. Okay, a lot of information to process here. Another thing I'd like to mention is Splash Energy. I already talked about it before, but I run one energy, one of those in my deck list. Also running, a lot of water energies in my deck. Things I want to mention here as well is Max Potion. In a lot of scenarios, you see that we don't have any energies on our Greninja Breaks. Well, Max Potion can just heal off our frogs completely without downside. So I'm running 2 copies of that. Other things I want to mention here, let's see if I don't forget anything. Another weakness it might have is Lurantis. Lurantis is still around, but then again, we shut down the Sunny Day ability, so that is cool with the Shadow Stitching. But the 3 enemies it has is, of course, Lurantis, Golisopod, and Tapu Bulu. These are the enemies. And let's think about all the good matchups we have. We have God of War, it's a good matchup. Metagross is a good matchup. Volcanion is a good matchup. The list gets going on. I know there are a few terrible matchups like these, but yeah, what can you do about it? What else is there to talk about? Yeah, Rescue Trash also talked about these. These can get yourself the recovery that you want in the late game, because sometimes your frogs go down faster than they appear. And another thing I'd like to mention about all these cards, I'm gonna give you the deck list in a minute, but these are just optional. This is not in my deck list, but I wanted to mention them in this video anyhow. You can also try and run this version of the Greninja deck. This is relying on Rare Candy, Bridget, and to get out your Froakies, and then you're using Rare Candy and things like Alolan Vulpix with Beacon to get your Greninjas into play. But basically everything on the deck is the same, but you use a different method. You don't use the Frogadier's attack, you start with Alolan Vulpix and use Bridget. That's how something like a Greninja Break also could work. But let me know in the comment section what you prefer in the Greninja Break. I definitely like the water duplicates, really awesome. There's also a new card, Gladion, coming out, which will help Greninja a lot. And yeah, just to get it out there, the Alolan Ninetales definitely works with sniping as well. Anyhow, this was Greninja Break for you. Hopefully you guys learned a lot about Greninja and what it is capable of. Now let's go to the list. So this is it, folks. This is my personal list I've been experimenting with since the rotation happened. So as you see, we run a 3-4-4-4 line of Greninja Break. So 3 Greninja Break, really great to get them out in the late game, sniping around damage. Everybody is afraid when they see a Greninja Break. We run 4 Greninjas with, these are just our main attackers when Greninja Break doesn't, show its face on the field. Really, with 1 energy, we could deal a lot of damage. I already talked about these before. We have a 4 Frogadier for Froakie. You can also run 3 Froakie. You don't always need all the Froakies, but I want to start with a Froakie most of the time. We also have 2 Talonflame. Sometimes it does not happen every tournament or every match, but sometimes I start with Talonflame and I blast myself that I run it, because these make the matches a little bit more easy in my opinion. We also run 2 of these Talonflame to not start as often with the Espeon or Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele isn't as bad as it seems, because sometimes you can pile up some energies there and destroy it, and then later reuse it with Rescue Stretcher and get the energies back with Fisherman just to get it out there. Alright, we have 4 Sycamore, of course. Post rotation, I think 4 Sycamore, 4 and 2 Guzma is a must in every deck. So in this particular case, we are running only 2 Guzma, since we do run Escape Rope and we have free retreat on everything except for these 2. So Espeon EX and Tapu Lele GX might get stranded in the active position. As mentioned, we have options to get them out of the active position. We have Acerola, we have Escape Rope, we have Guzma. We can retreat with the manual energy. Simple like that. So where are we now? We are here at the supporters. We are having the Fisherman, running 2 copies of that, getting energies back. It's awesome. You cannot get an the splash energy back, but yeah, you do run 7 basic water energies and only 1 splash energy. What are the chances? 1 Kukui, because sometimes you can get that mat just right. When you get that extra 20 damage, you get yourself the KO that you desperately want. Just to get it out there, if we use the attack, let's say we use Moonlight Slash for 110 damage with a Choice Band. Well, if we use that again with the Choice Band, we are only hitting for 220 damage, which is not enough. Sometimes we need Kukui to get a one-shot on God of War GX, for example. Okay, we also, these are actually the one-off supporters. Since we do run Tapu Lele, we have the option to use them. Acerola is awesome, you can get it out. Let's say Espeon EX is stranded in the active position. You want it out of the field because sometimes your opponent will destroy it because it's weak to Psychic. You can use Acerola, or just use Acerola on a Greninja Break that is damaged and evolve one of your other Greninjas on the bench to get everything back like that. Well, Wally is just there for the first turn water duplicates. I know there's another version of the deck you can run with Bridget and Rare Candy, but I prefer this fast method with Wally and the first turn Frogadiers on the field. That way I'm more comfortable with my board position. Here we have a 2 max potion, healing off every damage, awesome. Running 2 copies, we're running 4 Ultra Ball, 2 Evo Soda, and then 2 Timer Ball, just to get a lot of search items to get our Frogadier and Greninjas as quickly into play as we possibly can. We have 2 rescue stretches for the recovery. Sometimes we have a Sycamore in the hand with all garbage, and there's a Tapu Lily in there. What do? We can discard it safely knowing that we can reuse it with Rescue Stretcher. Also great in the late game when a Frogadier is knocked out and we have a benched Froakie. We can evolve it to Frogadier thanks to Rescue Stretcher. Trio choice band, because with that we deal extra damage to EXs and GXs, and since the format is heavily based on GXs, we are definitely want to run 3 copies of choice band. 2 Field Blower, because Garbodor with the Garbotoxin ability from Breakpoint can cause a lot of troubles to our strategy with the ability Giant Water Shuriken, so that's why we are running these Field Blowers to get rid of the Float Stones, so that way we can still use our abilities on our turn. Running 2 copies, maybe, I'm doubting on running 3, but that's a little bit overkill, but yeah, that's just for 1 matchup, so don't go overboard. Consistency is the key. And then 1 escape rope. Sometimes these are stranded in the active position and you say like, why do I run them? Well, as escape rope can get you out of that nasty situation with an item card. So, and that's the list I'm running currently. Hopefully you enjoyed this Greninja Break update video. And if you want me to do more of these, let me know in the comment section below. And now we are going to Poke News.
Alright guys, welcome to Poke News, where we're gonna talk about new releases and new card scans. And the first thing on the list is a couple of scans from Sun and Moon 4, which is the equivalent to our Crimson Invasion set coming on the beginning of November. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is Regirock, a 130 HP basic Pokemon that has an ability Rocky Mountain Howl. Your Registeel's attack deals 10 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon for every Regirock you have out. So let's say you get 3 of them out, you deal 30 extra damage with your Registeel. Registeel, as we all know him, deals that amount of damage, 90 damage as a maximum, and also has some energy acceleration going on with its first attack. I do like the way that Pokemon is implementing these Regis to work together, so I might see something working here in the future, but its attack is not the best ever. It deals 110 damage and the attack isn't affected by resistance. Although we can get energies on these Pokemon really quickly with the next card I'm gonna talk about, which is Counter Energy. Counter Energies is one of those huge energies that everybody wants to pull once they get a Crimson Invasion booster box, because it's just that good. When this card is attached to one of your Pokemon, it counts as a regular colorless energy, unless you are standing behind in prize cards and the Pokemon you attach it to is not a GX or an EX. Then it counts as a double rainbow energy, provides every type of energy and 2 of them as well. So this is a really crazy energy, and that makes it so a lot of combinations will be possible with this Counter Energy. Just at the top of my head, I can think about, let's say, Zygarde. This Zygarde needs a Darkness and a Fairy Energy and a DCE. So how can we make this work? Well, with 2 attachments we can get the attack going if we are standing behind in prize cards. We can use Counter Energy, and then we can also use double colorless energy to get the attack going. So this is one of the methods I would use, the Counter Energy. There's still a lot more to explore with this card, but I do predict that it will be played in a lot of decks. Just to get it out there, I don't think double Dragon Energy gets reprinted really soon, because Counter Energy can make it work like that. The bad thing is that you cannot attach it to your GXs and EXs, so if you're playing a heavily a deck based around GXs, this will not work, but other than that, it's a really great card. Next up is Mismagius. It deals 30 damage and your opponent cannot play any tool card, special energy or stadium card from their hand during their next turn. So that Chaos Wheel is kind of similar like the one that Giratina has, so that is interesting to see here. It's not on an EX though, so with a single energy and only being a stage 1, I might see this work in a couple of decks, but only as a 2-2 line or maybe a 1-1 line, just to slow down the opponent if they rely on special energy too much. Next we have Xerneas, another legendary Pokemon, 130 HP, it has the first attack, lead, search your deck for a supported card, reveal it and put it in your hand. Really great if you are having a terrible hand and you just want to refresh your hand, just use that attack, get yourself a Sycamore and just get the ball going once again. Alright, its attack is not the best ever, it deals 130 damage and you cannot use it on your next turn. Seen it before on a lot of Pokemon, but this is not the one I would use it on. Next is Octillery. Yeah, this octopus dude has been playing a huge role in the Gardevoir GX deck, but this time around it's back with other attacks. It does not have an ability this time for a colorless energy. If the defending Pokemon tries to attack during your next turn, your opponent flips a coin. If it tails, that attack deals no damage at all. It does actually nothing. Its second attack, Special Cannon, is what this card is all about. It deals 40 damage and you may discard a special energy from this Pokemon. aka maybe the Wonder Energy. Or actually, this could work out. Actually, it's the Counter Energy. If you do, this attack deals 80 more damage. Okay. Let's say we attack with the Counter Energy, we slap it onto the auxiliary, then we are standing behind in prize cards, while out of nowhere we deal 120 damage, so that could be kind of interesting. Next is Beedrill, with the first of giant plants being banned and expanded and being rotated out of the standard format. Beedrill has a tough time ahead of it. It has 0 retreat cost, which is awesome, a single attack that deals 60 damage, and the first attack, which actually, if this Pokemon evolved from Kakuna during your turn, your active Pokemon, actually your opponent's active Pokemon is now automatically poisoned and paralyzed. If you combine that with a couple of Viper from Burning Shadows, you actually have a great combination here. That way you deal extra damage, but having this in this format is not good at all. No Forest of Giant Plants, there are way too many methods to get out of the active position, like Guzma, stand-in ability of Zoroark, and even switching cards. So I don't think this card will be seen, but it's definitely fun to think about. Next is Aggron. Yeah, climbing his way to 170 HP, the barrier gets breached once again, and this Pokemon has an attack, Revenge Cannon. It deals 10 damage plus 10 more for each damage counter on each of your bench Pokemon. Yeah, if you have something like Potown in play and you evolve all your Pokemon, you can get this ball going really quickly, and this damage will stack up to a lot of damage, so you have to be careful here. But it's kind of clunky, and I don't see it being used in any competitive scene, tournaments anytime soon. Its second attack deals 120 damage, is not affected by resistance, way too overpriced, and will never see the light of day. But definitely our first attack could be interesting if there come cards in the future that rely on putting damage on yourself. Maybe you can play something with a Rainbow Energy, a Potown, and anything that puts damage on yourself, then this might become kind of a crazy deck. But then again, if you have a lot of damage counters on your Pokemon, your opponent will Guzma them out and one-shot them. So yeah, average card here. Then we have Ghastly and Hunter, everything to do with spreading damage. The Ghastly actually deals put 1 damage counter on one of your Pokemon, pretty standard, seen it before on Duskulls and stuff, so yeah, just sniping 1 damage counter. Then the Hunter actually put 2 damage counter on each of your opponent's Pokemon that has already damage counters on it, so I predict, like say, Flying Flip, boom, and then you can use the same thing here, put 2 damage counter on everything that has damage for a single energy without using a DCE, but then again, it's a stage 1, so kind of average. I hope that the Gengar will be huge, maybe a Gengar GX. What do you guys think about it? Put it in the comment section below. Alright, next up is the Peeping Red card. This is one of those items that is really powerful. It states, look at your opponent's hand. You may have your opponent count the number of cards in their hand, shuffle their hand into their deck, and then they may draw that many cards. So it's basically like an N only for, actually not an N, it's kind of different than that. They count the number of cards in their hand and then they redraw them. So if you see that your opponent has a terrible hand, then you just leave it there. It states you may. If you see it's a really great hand, well, you use this card and bang, their good hand is gone now. I really like this card, so I will definitely suggest putting 4 copies in your binder as a really playable card in the near future. So yeah, the last thing on the list is the new tents. I already talked about them a little bit, the sneak peek at the beginning of Poké News, and here we have them, the new Evolution Triple Effect tents. They look really nice if you collect the tents, and they come with a holographic version of the Ancient Origins Evolutions, which see a huge amount of play in the expanded format. They are however rotated out of the standard format, but they are still neat if you want to have a holographic version. They come with 3 booster packs and then the holographic card and a TCG Online code card. The thing I don't like about these tins is that they only come with 3 packs, but the price is a little bit reduced. They only cost $12, so definitely get yourself these if you play expanded. And that's it for another episode on my channel. I hope you guys had a blast, and if you enjoyed it, maybe you enjoyed the rap, maybe you enjoyed the analysis of Greninja, the updated version, or maybe Poké News in general. Let me know what you think about all the content you saw in this video. I would appreciate it a ton, and if you did enjoy the video, definitely rock smash the hell out of the like button. I always appreciate it, and it gives me the support to make better and more videos for you guys. Anyways, I'll definitely see you next Wednesday, but in the meanwhile, you might see me pop up in your subscription box because I do tend to make videos other than the Wednesday. Yeah. Anyways, thanks again for watching. I'll be seeing you guys later. This was Zapdos TCG, and I'm out. Peace.
I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light